Authorities are also looking into how militants were able to plan their attacks without being detected by intelligence agencies. It wasn't clear until the Islamic State revealed that it was using a Russian-developed messaging app to communicate with each other. It's called Telegram, and it renders texts almost invisible to government agents. ISIL has used the app to claim responsibility for the attacks in Paris and also the recent bombing of a Russian jetliner. Its developers have already taken down some ISIL-affiliated channels, but because of its advanced encryption, some of its private messaging is almost impossible to spy on. Using one of its websites, ISIL has asked its supporters to download and use Telegram. For more on the efforts of this strange communications method, Jim Spellman is here, and this begs a lot of questions.
It does, but look, no terrorist organization in history has been better at taking off-the-shelf material, applications, websites, and using it for their advantage. Watch.
The Islamic State and other terrorist groups are turning to encrypted messaging services and the so-called dark web to spread their propaganda and possibly plot attacks. Conventional email and social media sites like Twitter and Facebook are now widely considered too risky for terrorist groups, potentially exposing their actions to authorities. New apps like Wicker, Silent Circle, and especially Telegram are being embraced by ISIL. Telegram allows users to send encrypted messages that are nearly impossible for authorities to decode.
And what a lot of these platforms allow is it's like the old days, sort of World War I single message encryption pads. And it's a real big challenge that governments both in the United States and Europe and around the world are going to have to face.
Telegram also allows users to create channels to distribute messages, pictures, and videos to followers. ISIL used this feature to claim responsibility for the Paris attacks. On Wednesday morning, the terror group used Telegram to send out an edition of its online magazine, but by Wednesday afternoon, Telegram began shutting down some ISIL accounts. In a statement, Telegram wrote, "We were disturbed to learn that Telegram's public channels were being used by ISIS to spread their propaganda. As a result, this week alone, we blocked 78 ISIS-related channels across 12 languages." Twitter has also shut down hundreds of terrorism-related accounts in recent months. That hasn't stopped ISIL, Al-Qaeda, and others from releasing propaganda videos and magazines, but there are signs these groups are feeling pressure. Recently, ISIL moved its massive archive of propaganda material to the so-called dark web, a sort of parallel internet that offers near complete anonymity, but is more difficult for users to access. Even though it may be harder to find this material online, authorities say the message is getting through.
Come or kill. Come or kill. Come to the so-called caliphate, live a life of glory, participate in the final battle between good and evil on God's side. Come to the caliphate, and if you can't come, kill where you are.
Many of these encrypted online messaging services came about as a direct reaction to the Edward Snowden revelations of widespread data collection by the NSA here in the United States. A major question now is whether the Paris attacks will lead to a backlash against these new secure platforms. Phil?
I mean, look, we don't know what would have happened had the NSA been able to do all the things that Edward Snowden had talked about. If they didn't stop that, would that have stopped these attacks? We actually won't know. Let me ask you this. Do you think the intelligence agencies are handicapped, either by resources or by money?
Take a look at this. Here in the United States, the intelligence community, CIA, NSA, for covert operations surveillance, they're about $55 billion a year. That's the budget. Half of that goes to surveillance. There's 107,000 employees working under that budget. There's so much information being brought in. The much bigger question is, how do you find that nugget out of all that information? And then once you find that, how do you share it with relevant governments, be they in Europe, Asia, anywhere? And then if you get somebody in your sights, as apparently some of these attackers were, how do you follow them? Do you have those resources? It's not as simple as a computer program that's going to suck this stuff out of the air and give you the magic bullet that you need to stop attacks like this.
Very quickly, has the U.S. government said anything?
Well, they've reacted against messaging services like Telegram with this robust encryption. They want to have so-called backdoors so that they can get into these applications and be able to stop something when they need. But then you're back to this debate between civil liberties and privacy versus security.
Okay, we can spend a lot of time on this, Jim.
And governments around the world will be.
Always good to see you. Thank you.